Burney throwing. Touchdown! LaMontagne with the drag route in the middle of the field, and a 16-yard touchdown pass for Bud Burney, his third of the game, to 3 different receivers.
A great pass, as you said, that drag route. Here it is. Just threading the needle perfectly right in front of the man. LaMontagne able to catch that great play by the Bears.
So 35 points on the board for the Bears. Trying to make it 36. And Avery pumps it through. So the Bears back to a 9-point lead with 1:19 to play in the third quarter. More flags come out. Interesting because as we see the plays leading to the touchdown.
Unsportsmanlike conduct indicated against the Bears.
So this one against the Poly as well, and it'll help Lakeside with the upcoming kickoff. You know, one of the interesting things is Coach Seidler for Lakeside, although he is not a teacher because he's kind of retired military, he's on campus all day. So he's kind of a de facto dean of discipline. He said, you know, if a teacher sees a player of mine acting up, they let me know, and I deal with it on the spot. And obviously, you know, he's of 2 professions, as a firefighter and in the military, where discipline is a big thing.
That is all it is.
And although, you know, listen, their record is 0-7, but from what we've seen today, we've only seen them in 1 game. Pretty disciplined team thus far, no?
Yeah, and we heard from the athletic director when Nick Rice was interviewing him. He said, they're all about building culture, and we heard that over and over before the game talking to Coach and some of his staff members. Culture, rebuilding culture here.
Back to the 25 is where Poly will kick it off. I do think sometimes that term is overused, but in high school, definitely it's a spear de corps, right?
Yes,
It's just how it works. And you were a coach, so you understand how that, and largely you weren't coaching a lot of Kawhi Leonards.
No.
You know, you were coaching a lot of kids that needed to be coached, and that's really where it comes in big. And both John Rice and James Seidler, they're both very aware of that. And they both put it into practice, and their experience is beneficial when they, you know, James, I had a great conversation with him. He said, you know, I tell these kids the truth. I don't always tell them what they want to hear. And sometimes, to his surprise, you know, the parents are really kind of on board with it. They're like, okay, well, where do we go from here? And he says, well, this is what I see, and you guys need to work on that, in between you and your kid.
And the good thing about coming into this situation is he's got a lot of young players. Very few seniors in the program.
Here's a look at the Lakeside coach. Former All-CIF performer, shaking your buddy Leonard Triplett's hands. Wow. So I don't know if he got the explanation he wanted from Rich Roberts, but coach goes back to his sideline. First-year head coach at Lakeside. Had been for 3 years the D-line coach at Great Oak. Son played for Great Oak there. That's where he met your buddy Garth Jensen.
Garth Jensen, one of the best guys in the world. He's been everywhere, wins everywhere, so you bring those guys in, like I said, building a culture with winners, guys that have worked hard at their craft. Those are the kind of guys that you want coaching your sons and daughters.
So kickoff set for Poly. Medina, Romero, and McGee back. Kick to the 30. Here's the return. This is Romero. Puts his head down to the 45-yard line, so good field position for Lakeside. So he mentioned, and we may break some news here on the Game of the Week, Robbie Robinson apparently may be on the staff next year.
That was the word. That was the word before the game. Nice to hear that.
Take that to Pep. Have him do the research, you know, because he'll find out. Pep will know.
Oh,
if he didn't already know,
he's
he'll
probably
know.
known for a month already.
Yeah, Pep's like the Adrian Wojnarowski of high school football in Riverside. You know how Adrian Wojnarowski tweets the picks before they're made in the draft?
The Woj bomb, the Pep bomb.
Pep could do that. Pep could do that high school football. Split out to the far side, Medina for Lakeside. 36-27. This is McGee. First down gain of about 3 and getting a little testy. You hate to see this. Flags have already come in a couple of times. And no flag on that play. Getting a little, now there's a flag. So a little physical play. We'll see who that will go on.
22, Jalen McGee, the ball carrier. Tackle by number 55.
So give McGee 2 yards, and then we'll sort out this penalty. Well, I guess they picked up the flag. I like that. The officials kind of letting the players know, hey, that garbage needs to end, and let's play this game. I know coaches appreciate that sometimes. Ticking down to the end of the third quarter. Probably one play left for Lakeside if they want it. Now they'll break the huddle. Lancers have hung in there. Pope throws. Incomplete. Bud Burney playing that football nearly came up with it. Intended for Perkins. And that'll be the end of the third quarter. 36-27. The Lancers putting up a fight. The Bears, though, in control largely because of Bud Burney.
Burney and his plethora of receivers. He has been fantastic tonight.
So I believe Nick Rice standing by with the principal of Riverside Poly, your old buddy. Let's toss it down to Nick Rice.
Yeah, he's Daryl Hanson, the principal of Riverside Poly. What's your impressions of the first 3 quarters of this game?
Oh, it's a good game. You know, our team's playing hard. We've done a lot of learning going on. Coach Rice is doing an excellent job teaching and fundamentally and starting to build something. To create a champion, it takes time and effort, and I like the steps that we're taking.
Yeah, good effort for the football team. How are you as a principal getting, members of the community involved, not just with this team, but also just with the school as a whole?
You know, Riverside Poly High School has a lot of rich tradition. It was founded in 1887. So we are really trying to work and connect with the community and connect with the history of the school. Our students have been creating and making history for 133 years. And our staff and our students right now are building on that, and we're using the community as a kind of a foundation for all that we're trying to accomplish.
Is there any particular events or get-togethers that Riverside Poly is hosting in the future?
In the future, we obviously our athletic events are big. Our basketball season's coming up. We're really proud of our volleyball program, just made CIF. It's really everything we try to put on our website. Check our website, because we're always got something going on at a high school. It's a typical high school campus.
Yeah, but you're not a typical principal. You're not just involved in academics. You're involved in athletics and just about, you've got your hand on everything here.
Well, and I think that's what a high school principal does, because we really need to know everything that's going on our campus. And I love the fact that high school sports is a big part of our culture.
Well, Daryl, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Look forward to what's going on the rest of the game. Sorry to cut off the last play, guys. Back to you guys.
T-Mac with the fumble recovery as Nick Rice was talking with the Riverside Poly principal. A fumble in the backfield, and Alande Telemac picks it up for Poly, and Riverside Poly in business. 1st and 10 from the 34. Thanks for the interview, Nick Rice, and appreciate Principal Halen joining us. 1st and 10. Burney stepping up, throwing, complete. Touchdown! Ethan LaMontagne finds pay dirt for the second time on the evening, and the Bears are roaring.
And once again, Bud Burney, the man that starts it.
And this has probably been his best game of the year. He has been superlative tonight for Riverside Poly. Got an opportunity last night to cover a game in Fontana. The Kaiser Cats, your old buddy Billy Cardosi, their head coach, and their quarterback Travion Tribble doing similar things to what Bud Burney doing tonight. Running the ball, throwing the ball, just putting the team on his back. When the PAT is up and through. So 43-27. The Bears immediately convert the turnover into a touchdown, and this is going to hurt Lakeside. Just the ball just squirts out and can't pick it up, and there's Telemac just on top of the football. And when you're playing from behind, obviously the turnovers will hurt. And here's LaMontagne, gets through the tackle, touchdown Poly.
Yeah, great play calling by the offensive coordinator for Poly. Caught the Lancers off guard there.
It just shows you it's the old line from John Sterling, the old Yankees play-by-play announcer. Well, that's baseball. Well, that's football, because we came in thinking that Lakeside was going to fling it around and that Poly be running between the tackles. Not just after talking to the coaches, and a little bit of it could be gamesmanship, but how about Bud Burney tonight?
Bud Burney has been special. I mean, he has made the right decisions. Other than his interception in that first half, he has been phenomenal the entire time since.
Also made the homecoming court at halftime. Squibber. He's going to roll out of bounds. So do you take the ball to 35 or you make him re-kick, Jeff? They've had some pretty good returns. And now some more extracurricular, just some jawing, which is okay.
Being me, I'd probably make him kick it over.
Yeah. I remember John Brandon a couple of years ago did that in a playoff game.
Yes, he did.
It looks like Lakeside's going to take the football. Well, what's that? You got a good lineup of games coming up the next couple of weeks. Playoff implications?
We've got next week. We've got North versus.
Well, they got Orange Vista. They got that.
Vista.
That's the one you got. That's for the Inland Valley League title in essence.
And then we have RCC versus Golden West on Saturday.
I'll be there with you for that one.
It's going to be a great one.
The Rustlers and the Tigers. Tom Kraft trying to keep his #1 ranking. Back to Lakeside. 11:39 to play in this one. 1st and 10. Here's McGee. And McGee sidles up to about the 45. Close to a first down.
Just let McGee. Looks like he's needs a little rest.
Those running back. You remember when J-Mon McGlory played for Arlington? He looked like he was hurt, but he just pacing
tired.
himself. Yeah. A little slow to get up. That doesn't mean anything's bad. It means, I know I'm going to carry the ball 35 times in this game.
Exactly.
Get the rest while you can. 9-yard gain officially. They mark him to the 44. Another give to McGee. No, this is Pantoja. Pantoja into the open field. Second level to the 35. So they found a good change of pace as well. With Pantoja carrying the ball. And again, the run block, they're just getting good push on that run blocking. And linemen, you can easily get into a groove on the run blocking. You talked about it earlier. You got to go hit somebody. That's all you got to do. So they've traversed into Poly territory, have the Lancers after the turnover was immediately converted into a touchdown by Bud Burney and Ethan LaMontagne. Medina at the top of the screen, tight end of the near side. That's Perkins. Again, they'll just go right up the middle. Here's Pantoja. Dancing, and he'll be taken down. Ethan LaMontagne there to make the tackle for Poly. He'll get inside the 25.
Pantoja showing those fresh legs the last 2 runs here.
And he might have been one of those guys who was hurt. He did have 14 carries for 43 yards coming into the game, but hadn't played or hadn't carried the ball in a couple of weeks. So good 1-2 punch with him and Jalen McGee in the backfield. And this is Pantoja again, but this time T-Mac, Alonde Telemac is the first man to him and will drop him in his tracks at the line of scrimmage.
Tackled by number 11, Alonde Telemac.
So no gain. Clock continues to move. Lakeside down 43-27 here. The Bears just trying to take care of business. That's what their goal was, to come in. Hey, we're playing at home. Let's take care of business. Check the win column off and move on to next week.
And like Coach Rice said earlier this week on the coach's perspective, he really wants to make the playoffs. It's a big deal for him in his first year.
Another run play, this time to McGee.
And talking to Coach Rice, he had glowing things to say about Coach DeWitt, who was the former Bears coach for the last couple of years. In fact, he was very appreciative of bringing he and Bill Powell on as staff members last year. And he said, hey, he started this culture, and we're going to continue it, and we're going to build upon it. So very complimentary, kind words for Coach DeWitt, who was the former coach at Riverside Poly.
Play action to Pantoja. Over the middle, complete for a first down. Ball completed to James Nicholas, sophomore. He's a O-lineman converted to tight end. So having to move things around, we mentioned, because of injuries, they can't even field the JV team. Pope with a pretty good throw, finds him in the middle of the field. First down. Ball moves inside the 20. They're in the red zone. Pope, little bootleg. Shoved out of bounds. Gets to about the 9. Telemac making the play. May have something tacked on to that. Well, their offense is figuring it out today. Talking about Lakeside. It's going to be against Poly, so we'll move it a little bit closer. So 8:09 to play. You know, strange things happen at sundown, Jeff. And obviously we learned that lesson earlier. You play to the whistle, right? You play to the final gun. Doesn't matter that Lakeside's 0-7 or whatever coming in.
It's the best 0-7 team I've seen in a long time.
So first and goal, line is the 5. Pantoja the tailback. Garces shifting into motion. Maybe he did something wrong because the flag comes in. So you got Orange Vista and North. That's a big one next week, Jeffrey.
I can't wait to see Michaele. Is that him?
Venancio Michaele.
Yeah, he's fun to watch.
You know, we had Josiah Harrison up in the booth. He's an alum. He's up at Wheatley College, but came back for homecoming, and he played for Coach DeWitt and Coach Rice. He was a defensive player last year. And one of the highlights I have in my reel is him kind of getting one-on-one there with Michaele late at the end of a run. Pope can't get away. Coming in and submarining him. Hayden Roning makes the play. Oh, ran into Pantoja. That's what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
Kind of bounced him off. So second and goal, ball back to the 8. Give up the middle, Pantoja fighting, hurdling inside the 5 to the 3. So third down and goal will come up from the 3-yard line. So I'm wondering, is McGee, now you hope McGee is not hurt. He might be gassed. Just keeping him off the field to keep him fresh for the defensive side. Pantoja's been doing a good job, though. Third down play. Pantoja shoving, driving, he's in. Touchdown, Lakeside.
Lancers touchdown scored by number 5, Rudy Pantoja.
So a good drive for Lakeside. In response, they get the penalty after the PAT, which pushes the kickoff back. It helps them get good field position. And then the offensive line does the rest. Pantoja hits pay dirt, and it's a 10-point game pending the PAT with 6:16 to play. So the Lancers, after throwing a scare into North last week, hang with Poly this week. Lancers going for 2. Pope throwing, incomplete. Pantoja, the intended receiver. And now more extracurricular activity. And now flags just flying all over the place. You hate to see this. These two teams have both played a great game. They put in a great effort. And, you know, it's football. It's physical. It's going to get a little bit chippy. But you hate to see it kind of overflow like this.
Yeah, when it gets to multiple guys, I understand the frustration here and there, but you can't.
Well, it's like you both played such a good game. You know what I'm saying? You both played well, and you hate to tarnish it by having a bunch of flags and penalties and ejections.
Lakeside Lansing.
So the 2-point conversion, no good. It's a 10-point game. Lakeside has already recovered one onside kick. The officials caucusing. You see the flags lying there on the carpet.
I think this could result in some ejections. They're writing down some.
Rich Robbins has the pencil working. He's our referee tonight. And it's interesting because for most of the first 2.5 quarters, it was a pretty clean game.
Very clean.
And then it started to get a little bit chippy. That's one thing that Coach Rice talked about specifically to us. We've had too many penalties. We need to reduce those penalties. And we had a very candid conversation. He said, hey, week 7, that's on me. I'm the head coach. So I need to figure out some things to make sure these guys understand that that is not acceptable.
Yeah, I believe there's going to be some ejections here. The problem with an ejection at a high school level is
can't play next week,
can't play next week. And every game now is pivotal for Poly to get into these playoffs.
I'm scanning the sideline at Lakeside. I do not see. Well, Jalen McGee now looks like he is getting treatment. And looks like the pads are coming off. So that's not a good sign if you're a Lakeside fan. He's on the trainer's table near the 35-yard line. And the pads have just come off. Get a look at the stands here tonight at King High School, the home field for Riverside Poly homecoming night on Saturday. Happy to be with you, Ghazal Hassan, along with Jeff Gorham, Nick Rice on the sideline. Our entire award-winning Riverside TV crew also on board tonight. Brad, Ross, Bob, Jason, Ryan, Steve, Scott, Carrie, Douglas.
I'm always leery of Douglas, though.
Why? He's a nice young man.
I don't know. Sometimes he's shifty and cagey.
There's always one, isn't there?
Yeah, always that guy.
So a bunch of penalties that have offset. I always hate that. Old guy used to work with Jeff Toltron. Jeff.
Yeah.
He did not like the offsetting personal fouls. Like, what good does that do?
Right. Does nothing except for now they're probably going to go over and
now,
say.
Yeah, with ejections now, it's interesting. Now the new rule. John Rice, the head coach of Poly there, getting an explanation from our officiating crew tonight. And he's walking back to the sideline. (43-33), and now Seidler getting the explanation from Triplet. James Seidler, the head coach of Lakeside, first-year head coach, looking for his first career win. Jeff's very good friend, Ray Triplet, the head linesman tonight.
His son, the late, great Ray Triplet Jr.
You said he is the best basketball player you've ever seen.
Oh, he was great, phenomenal. We've got the Riverside Halloween Fest. It's Saturday, October 26th from 2 to 10 p.m. Kids, come on out. Kids 14 and under are free. Adults are just $10. There's going to be a costume contest for kids and adults. A haunted trail. I love those haunted trails. Halloween vendors, kids zone, free crafts and games, food and beer garden. Once again at White Park, Riverside Halloween Fest, Saturday, October 26th.
Nick Rice, what do you say?
Quick injury update. Jalen McGee has just been an absolute star for Lakeside tonight. He is set to return in short order. Just a very minor injury, just some precautionary factions where they're talking with the medical staff about what's going on with the legs. Both of them are going okay, and he should be set to return on the next drive. Back to you guys.
Onside kick from Lakeside, hits the high hop, still loose on the turf. Did Poly pick it up? Looks like they did. So Poly takes possession at the 43-yard line or so.
Number 18, Mike Scout.
Good job on the onside kick, the double bump, and then Scouting on the hands team scoops it up at the 43, and that's where Poly will start it off. Well, the offense hasn't been the issue tonight for the Bears. Bud Burney run for a touchdown, thrown for 4 touchdowns. What a game he has had tonight. Senior, 3-year starter for Poly. Just adding to his record on homecoming. He was also part of the homecoming court. LaMontagne up to midfield. Stepped out of bounds. They blew the whistle this time.
Pass complete to number 7.
They'll say he's out at the 44-yard line of Lakeside.
Jonathan Medina.
So a 13-yard pickup. Medina with the stop. Just confidence, just throwing that out. LaMontagne started his career at Carnegie, right?
He did.
Last year, his first year with Poly, had a pretty good year.
Played for Jason McMahon's.
What a great job he's doing at Citrus Hill.
Oh,
Huh? How about
fantastic.
that?
Great guy.
They
great
win last
coach.
night?
They did.
They're 7-1 now. First and 10 line is the 44, toss to Harrell. How do you do? And then second effort. What a great second effort by him. He gets just to the 48. It'll be a loss, but he could have been cowed in at midfield.
Tackle by number 8, Lonnie Perkins.
And the only guy who's really giving him a problem is Perkins, who's the kind of the D1 level guy. Good play by Perkins. So loss 3 yards from the 47 of Lakeside. Second down. Burney over the middle, tipped, nearly intercepted, but incomplete, 3rd and long.
Incomplete pass
Intended for the tight end, Telemac. Clock stops, 4:29 to play. Well, they can get Poly off the field here. Maybe a shot for Lakeside.
That's a big play. 3rd and 13.
LaMontagne split out to the near side. Right next to him is Brown, and then Tiarina, Mott at the top of your screen. Burney on the option. Burney spins off a tackle. Burney, second level. Burney to the first down inside the 30. Well, we've been talking about him all night, Jeff.
Oh, he is phenomenal. I mean, he took a shot, spun right off of the defender, and was able to really extend this game and possibly hurt the Lancers. Because I'll tell you what, now they've got 4 sets of downs. They can run this clock down. Oh, wow, what a great run by the senior.
So Burney gets 18 on that play for the first down. Under 4 minutes to play, clock moving from the 29 of Lakeside. Stack formation to the top of the screen. LaMontagne to the near side. LaMontagne in space. Oh, what a move. Touchdown, Poly.
Number 7, Ethan LaMontagne. Touchdown.
29-yard catch and run by Ethan LaMontagne.
I thought he was tackled 3 times.
Another look here. Just a quick throw to the outside, and once he parts the defenders, and this might be some of the fatigue playing in Lakeside. Remember, 8 guys playing both ways, offense, defense. Now, there are a couple of guys who are healthier, so he's been rotating as Coach Seidler for Lakeside. But LaMontagne just so dynamic in the open field, and it's a 49-33 lead, and now it's 50 points.
The Riverside Poly Bears 50, the Lakeside Lancers 33.
So here's a look at the drive. One throw to LaMontagne gets him a first down. Nearly spun that one off too. And then Burney with a big run. This is the big play here. This might be the coup de grace because it was a 3rd and 13. He got them to the 29, and here's the touchdown. LaMontagne, nice little juke move there, breaks the Medina's tackle, and then he's to pay dirt.
He had 5 guys around him. 5.
In traffic, as they say.
Exactly.
It's like you when you were playing hoops for Ramona. It didn't matter how many guys were in the paint, you were scoring.
I was going to shoot. I don't know if I was going to score. But
Well, you weren't passing. We know that.
No.
Nancy Dawson just stuck in. You have to ask him how often you passed.
Said, Gorham, he's never had an assist in his life.
Squib kick and bounces. That's a live ball. So picked up by Romero. Romero at the 5, up to the 10. driving forward, and will be back maybe to the 15-yard line.
Number 23, Alfonso Romero on the return. Tackled by number 18.
So I told you, I got into an argument with Fazio. Just wanted a clarification. Brandon, he was saying, "Hey, Joaquin Phoenix going to win an Oscar for the Joker movie. How can you say anybody's better than him?" I said, "Well, Coach, it's a whole movie dedicated to him. You know,
Yes.
Cesar Romero would have 3 scenes, and he would steal. It was like when Heath Ledger was in The Dark Knight. It's a Batman movie, but he stole the movie. That's
Yes.
what Cesar Romero would do every week. He was the only villain you cared about. A little bit Burgess Meredith as the Penguin.
And I
but
think those are very good. And, of course, the Riddler was
Frank Gorshin.
Frank Gorshin.
Although John Austin also played him a little bit. First down. Here's the give. Pantoja gets stacked up, maybe a couple. So we saw McGee on the sideline take the shoulder pads off. Never a good sign. It looks like the injury is not serious, but he's not back in the game. You don't want to risk it at this point. So ball, maybe a yard on the play, move up to the 16-yard line. Call it the 17, actually. So 2nd and 8 coming up. Medina to the top of the screen for Lakeside. Turn and give. Pantoja forward to the 21. 3rd down and 4 coming up.
Number 5, Rudy Pantoja, the ball carrier, tackled by number 55.
Look, Ledbetter, the senior, 3-year varsity player. A little slow to get up, and this is week 8, so maybe a little bit of a stinger. He's grabbing the wrist. Poly next week. They'll be at Paris, and they finish up with John W. North. I think his own man fell on him. And he'll come off the field. Training staff for Poly.
There's our
Lakeside at Canyon Springs next week. They wrap up at Paris. And you'll have John W. North, Orange Vista on Riverside TV next. That's a big one, Jeff.
That's a great one. I'm excited for that one.
Dennis Brown against the Zumwalt brothers. Almost sounds like a wrestling match.
It does.
Dennis Brown of the Brown family, very distinguished football family in the city of Riverside. 3rd and 4 line is the 21 for Lakeside. Pope, pump fake. Looking down the field for Medina. Incomplete. A flag comes in. Well, they've done a good job on Medina tonight. He ran wild against the Huskies last week.
200 yards?
11 catches, 201 yards.
That's incredible.
That may be some sort of either a defensive hold or pass interference on that play. But got to like what the defense has done for the Bears on the outside. And it will move up. It'll be a penalty against the Bears. So it stops the clock, moves the ball up. So they move the ball to the 36. Pope. He'll keep it. Pope angling to the sideline. Now he'll cut back inside near midfield. So a 15-yard pickup.
Number 6, Dakota.
I'll tell you what, Lakeside's going to have a pretty good future. They're young. They've got a coach that cares. The culture, like we said, has changed. New athletic director. Coaches are here supporting.
Yeah, they were ready. We're going to look at the play. I mean, Pope, he's only a junior. Next year, he could be doing what Bernie's doing for Poly.
He's a very good football player.
Plays both sides, plays on defense as well as a defensive back. Pope, quick throw. Slant route, complete to Medina. About 8 yards on the play. Lakeside was kind of turning around. Mark Chandler came in, went 5-5 the first year, then went 7-4, got them the playoffs for the first time in school history. The school opened in 2005. In 2017, then had health issues last year. So when he had to step down, it wasn't really a clear line of succession. So they were kind of on their way up, and then Coach James Seidler hopefully will get them the rest of the way. Here's the give to Pantoja, who'll twist inside the 40, to the 38. And I like what I've seen from him. Obviously, we've been very impressed with McGee, the 4 touchdown rushes that he's had. But Pantoja has come in, the senior, and with McGee out, they really haven't skipped a beat on the running game, Jeffrey.
No, they have not. Montoya has been fantastic to watch, especially in the fourth quarter.
Medina to the top of the screen. Here's Pope. Launches it down the field. One-on-one. He hauls it in at the 1. What a catch by Medina in double coverage. Medina double coverage down the field.
Jonathan Medina.
Matched up with Sammy Sanchez. Tiarina comes to help out over top. Wow, what concentration to reel that one in. So here's the give and the touchdown to Pantoja.
Lancer touchdown scored by number 5, Rudy Pantoja.
His second touchdown of the evening. 50-39. So the Lancers in the last 2 weeks, they put up 34 on North, and they've rung up 39 points here against the Bears. And Pantoja just running right behind the 2 big boys, Martinez and Santizo. 2-point conversion attempt here. Pope in trouble. He'll keep it, and he'll get it. 2 points. Dakota Pope makes it a 50-41 game with 43 seconds to play. We have an update from the sideline with Nick Rice.
Score, the Riverside Poly Bears 50, the Lakeside Lancers 41.
Do we have Nick Rice?
Hey, thanks, Gazal. Ledbetter, their team captain, defensive tackle, tight end for Pauley. He's back into the game, but it seems whether.
Okay. So Ledbetter, we saw him kind of come off the field. Daniel Ledbetter, the defensive end, senior, returning starter from last year. Hopefully he's okay. If you're a baseball fan, thrilling ending in Houston. Bottom of the ninth, Astros walk off the Yankees 6-4. So the Astros and the Nationals in the World Series. Yankees were down 4-2 in the top of the ninth, tied at 4-4, and it came down to Jose Altuve in the bottom of the ninth.
He's a little bitty guy.
For the Astros. Squib kick. Scooped up and just kneeled down, and then it'll be victory formation time for the Bears with 39 seconds to play in this one. And, well, Lancers will not get their first win of the year. James Seidler denied his first career win as a coach, but you had to be impressed with what Lakeside bought today. They did not play like an 0-17 tonight.
No, like I said, it's the best 0-17 I've ever seen. And they ran their stuff well. They made very few mistakes, but they played smart. It was for a team that's as small as they are, they played with heart, they played with strength, and they just looked like a football team. You would never guess they were 0-7, and I think they're going to get a win here definitely before the season's out because they're playing pretty good football.
Canyon Springs and Paris left. You know, their hard part of the schedule is kind of out of the way. They've already played both North and Canyon Spring and Orange Vista. As Bernie will take a knee, and what a game for Bud Bernie tonight, Jeff. Touchdown run, a couple of 4 touchdown passes. What a job he's done.
And what a great time in homecoming, senior year. He was in the homecoming court. The guy's had a great night.
Yeah, Zach Ma also in the homecoming court for Poly. And nice to see the handshake, some of the testing this earlier. 50-41, the final tonight. The Bears of Poly get the win over the Lancers. So, okay, part 1 is done. Poly now 4-4, 2-1 in league play. They need to now take care of business against Paris next week, which sets up the showdown in Week 10 against John W. North. Jeff Gorham.
Well, I can tell you right now, they're going to take care of Paris. And I have to say this, I think it's going to be a good one in 2 weeks when those two teams battle it out. Two good friends, too, as well.
I also want to wish Coach James Seidler's wife a happy birthday. She's having a birthday this week, and they also have their wedding anniversary this week. And he was great with us this week, and his team played very well tonight, despite losing this one 50-41.
No, it was one of the better games we've had on Riverside TV this year. And to every one of those players, don't hang your head. You guys are going to be very good in a couple years. Stand behind your coach, stand behind your teammates, and follow your team here. They're going to be pretty good.
So we'll have a post-game wrap-up with Nick Rice. I believe he'll have John Rice with him. No relation between John Rice and Nick Rice. Well, the faithful for Poly, they'll go home happy on homecoming with a 50-41 win tonight. Thanks for joining us on this special Saturday night edition of the CIF High School Football Game of the Week. And we're back next week with another doubleheader. Friday night, it is a showdown in the Inland Valley. It is John W. North and Orange Vista. And then on Saturday, me and Jeff will be back together as RCC takes on Golden West. Tom Kraft and the Tigers rolling forward on their schedule. And I believe Coach Rice is down there with Nick. We'll toss it down to the field.
Thanks, Ghazal. John Rice, as you mentioned, no relation to myself. Well, this is a win, and there are some great things to take away from this game, but of course, there are also some pretty sloppy things to take away from this game.
Yeah, I was not happy with our demeanor. We have to learn to walk away when you're getting yelled and yelled at and picked on, and we have to learn to walk away, and we're better than that. We represent the Poly community. We have to do a better job. On the other hand, the offense scored 50 points. We haven't done that all year, so we'll regroup. We will correct our mistakes, and we'll be ready to play next week.
That was a team that didn't really have a lot to play for, so they came in motivated, confident, and I would say offensively to score that many points, that has to be pretty impressive going forward the rest of the year.
I don't want to take anything away from them. They played hard, but we didn't play anywhere near our capability like we played last week, and that's my fault. I didn't do a good job getting us ready, but we are much better than we showed, and we have to correct that for next week.
Well, Coach, congrats on the win. Defensively, how do you fix up some of the miscues tonight?
Effort, and if they can't adjust and do what we expect them to do, we got to find 11 guys that'll do it, and we'll make those corrections when we watch the video.
Looking forward to how you perform the rest of the year, Coach, and congrats on the win. With Riverside Poly's victory, they're now right looking at the playoff picture at 2-1 of the league, 4-4, but I'm sure Coach doesn't want to hear any of that as they look forward to their next two games. Guys, back to you.
Well, now, talking about Division 11, talking about playoffs, there are now 22 teams with 4 wins or more. Poly is one of them. As we get a look at Jason Harrell, he opened the scoring in the first quarter, and then coming right back was Jalen McGee. He had 4 touchdowns on his own for Lakeside. The story tonight, though, Jeff, as we get a look at the 2-point conversion attempt, the story is Bud Burney.
Yeah, the senior, the playmaker, the leader of this team was really dynamic, and I mean that wholeheartedly and sincerely. He was great.
He ran for a touchdown. He threw for 5. And it seemed like whenever a play needed to be made, Bud Burney made the play. The big one was late in the game, a 3rd and 13 situation. It was a turnover that Lakeside eventually turned into this touchdown. It was in the 4th quarter, and Lakeside still kind of hanging in there. It was a 10-point game, and Burney ran for a 19-yard play on 3rd and 13, and subsequently they put the ball into the end zone, did the Bears of Poly, and just everything he's been through in terms of winning the job as a sophomore and the coaching change that came in the offseason this year. What a career he has had here at Poly, and he's a multi-sport athlete, but you can't tell. Here's his touchdown run for Bud Burney. The senior was part of the homecoming court as well tonight for the Bears, and if the Bears can somehow squeeze into the playoffs, he is such a factor for them because he can do it all, Jeff.
I'll tell you, there's just certain guys that can do, that can play any sport and do it well. Burney is that guy, and he's going to go down in the lore of Riverside Poly as one of those guys. A 3-year starter for Riverside Poly football is a big deal, and to have a game here on homecoming on TV, a great game for a good young man.
Jalen McGee also with a big game for Lakeside. He scored 4 touchdowns before having to leave the game with an injury, and then his replacement, Rudy Pantoja, also had a couple of touchdown runs, as we see LaMontagne there with the score, and then the turnover. Really, this was kind of the one that more or less ended the game for Lakeside, their effort. They stayed close. They stayed close into the 4th quarter. They made it a game, so you give credit to the Lancers and Coach James Seidler. As you mentioned, they're going to be a pretty good team. They have some young guys coming back. Dakota Pope is back next year for them, and a couple of their starters on defense are back for them next year as well. They should do some things next year once they have the 2nd year of this regime in place.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the cupboard's not bare. Very young, very few seniors, and the thing is, they just need to buy in. Love to see more guys, student body members come out and play football because they've got a great coach and they've got a great system so far.
Congratulations to the Poly Bears. They win tonight on homecoming, 50-41. For Jeff Gorham, for Nick Rice, my name is Ghazal Hassan, also for the entire Riverside TV crew, our award-winning crew. The final from King High School tonight, Poly 50, Lakeside 41. We'll talk to you next week. So long, everybody.